Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zack Brown. Got a lot to go over. I'm going to try to do it in a little bit of a quick fashion. This episode's coming out a little bit later than usual. NASCAR Round of 8 for Xfinity and Cup Series is finally coming up. We'll be previewing all of that. World of Outlaws finishes up with their PA Posse battle for the year at Port Royal, and we're going to preview their couple races coming up this weekend, and NHRA is back at action at Houston Speedway this weekend. So let's get into it. All right, so let's just dive right in, talk about what the Charlotte Roval gave us. Two pretty decent races, enough cautions to make it exciting with late race action happening right there. But the biggest shocker was Sam Mayer getting a must win in the Xfinity Series to move on to the round of 8. So good for Sam, good for Junior Motorsports and that entire organization moving forward. The round of 8 has been set for the Xfinity Series. Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Justin Allgaier, John Hunter Nemechek, Austin Hill, Sammy Smith, Chandler Smith, and who am I missing right now? I'm missing one of these drivers. But awesome job for these guys. It'll be interesting for sure to see who will advance. Sam Mayer has a shot at it, outside shot. Again, he's going to have to get a win here, I believe, to really advance. But he's got a shot as good as any. But everybody's chasing John Hunter, so everybody knows that. The Cup Series, though, Allmendinger plays a little bit of upset over all the playoff drivers, and Kyle Busch had to get a must-win at Charlotte and just fell a little bit short, and was unable to capitalize on a bunch of late race cautions and restarts to beat Allmendinger. Kyle could have been a little bit of a dirty driver there and wrecked him out, but Kyle's shown that's not who he is at this point in his career, and respected everybody on the track, knew that he just wasn't the fastest car, and it was going to be difficult for him to make it. But the round of 8 for the Cup Series is set. You've got William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher, and Christopher Bell. So it's going to be ramping up now. The intensity just keeps getting bigger and bigger, getting into the final couple races, heading into the championship at Phoenix. So I think it's going to be Gibbs versus Hendrick, but we'll kind of see. These next few tracks, it's anybody's game. You've got Las Vegas and Homestead. All these drivers have been good a mile and a half. And then you got Martinsville, and you got Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. very, very good at Martinsville. So who knows what's going to happen? It's a lot of unknowns. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to dive into this weekend on this week's Crew Chief Corner with Jeff Brown. So we'll be getting into that here shortly. Let's just touch on the World of Outlaws at the Nittany Showdown, whatever it's called, at Port Royal Speedway the past week. The big upset is that All Stars took over. It was Sunshine Tyler Courtney picking up Friday's win, and Saturday the win goes to Zeb Wise. So congrats to those two. That was definitely big. Definitely big for the All-Stars to prove that they can beat the Outlaws. There's been a lot of talk that they wouldn't be able to do that. But let's touch on the Tuscarora 50 real quick. Unsanctioned race at this point. It was still all-star rules, really, but no points were on the line for anything. Brian Brown, I don't think anybody would have picked him to win this. Gets a big-time win. I thought a few more laps, Lance DeWeese probably was going to get him. Showed up late and was able to move through the field. But congrats to Brian Brown, kind of coming out of left field and getting that win in Tuscarora 50. touching on the High Limit Series that is finally concluded for their inaugural season, and Kyle Larson, one of the co-founders of the series, picks up the championship. Not going down without a fight, though, was Rico Abreu. Did everything he possibly could besides set quick time this past week. Very good races. When you hit lap traffic like that, makes it for sure exciting. Larson made a couple mistakes, jumped the cushion, went low, got caught up behind some lap cars, and then he kind of jumped over the entire track on the backstretch, cost him the chance at the win. Rico came on strong in that series late, but Larson was able to take advantage of the big points lead he had from the beginning of the season, and there's just really no catching him when that happens. So congrats to Larson, and we'll see what the High Limit Series Season 2 brings after they have, I guess unofficially, I don't think it's been officially named yet, but they have bought the All-Star Circuit of Champions, so it'll be interesting to see how they dive into it next year. I think that about does it just for, like I said, a quick recap. Got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes here, so let's preview this week coming up with my dad on this week's Crew Chief Corner. All right, Dad, welcome back into another week. Looking forward to getting into the round of 8 in NASCAR, continuing the countdown with drag racing, and again closing in on the end of the World of Outlaws after an exciting week up in PA, finishing up the battle with the PA Posse up there. Like we always do, let's start into NASCAR at Las Vegas. Again, this is the first of the round of 8. A lot of drivers cut it really close at the Roval. And got two similar tracks back to back, and then the another crapshoot of Martinsville, because anything can happen there. So going to the fabulous Las Vegas, like your background, let's touch on this. I think this car for the Cup Series does a great job on the 1.5 miles, and I don't think Las Vegas will be any different.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that this car on the 1.5 miles has produced really good racing. They've all even Texas has been pretty good. So I didn't really check weather. I'm going to assume it's probably going to be pretty hot out there in Vegas. Cars probably doing a little slipping and sliding, which makes the racing even better, I think. Anytime the drivers have to back off a little bit, leaves a little bit of an opportunity for other drivers who are going to be a little more ballsy and haul it on in there and create some passing and some things like that.
Be 87 and sunny.
Oh, that's actually pretty nice for Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be no clouds in sight, so the sun's still beating on the track. It will still make it a pretty hot and slick track.
Oh, for sure.
And the Xfinity runs a fairly long race for an Xfinity race. It's just over 300 miles. It's a 302-mile race, and that will lay a bunch of rubber down Saturday going into Sunday. So I guess these Cup drivers can take advantage of the rubber laying down from the Xfinity race going into their race.
Yeah, you would think so. You wouldn't think there's going to be any rain that washes it out, but NASCAR's luck with the weather, and
it doesn't look like there should.
I've been to Vegas one time and it rained, so
I've been there one time and it snowed. So yeah, to think about that one. Yeah, this for both series, the trucks are off until Miami, but both series, Xfinity and the Cup, this is the beginning of the 8. So this is where you can lock yourself into the championship, and then the rest of this is just kind of icing on the cake, and just you lock yourself in on this one. You've got 2 extra weeks to prepare for that championship race.
Yeah, I think you're going to see the top 8 really go all out to try to win that first race. That, like you said, that way then you're in, don't have to worry about it. You don't want to be, like with just what happened last week where you're, watching the points the whole race, and that probably takes some of the excitement for the drivers and crews where they're like Larson. I think his car was pretty good. I think he was just trying to finish,
just not wreck. Yeah.
So I think that took away some of the.
Right. Yeah, you want to race to win, not to race to not lose.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I told you to go over your championship 4 prediction. Did you do one for Xfinity at all, or did you just do Cup? Or
whoops,
I didn't do Xfinity too. I just thought about that right now. I could pull up the Xfinity standings and pretty much ballpark who I think can go in, because I mean, I'm pretty sure both of us will have at least the one similar. Actually, I'm very confident we'll probably have the same list.
I got them up here and see.
Yeah, I got to be able to look at it so I can just.
Yeah, I can make my way through that one.
Well, why am I not getting? I want the. Okay, so it's both Smiths made it in the round of 8. I just realized that. Sammy Smith and Chandler Smith.
Yeah.
All right, before we do our picks, this is sort of this is obviously new because we have a chance to pick our Final Four. So let's do our Xfinity Final Four and then go to our Cup Final Four. So looking through the Xfinity standings, who do you want for your? Well, who do you want? Who are you looking at that will likely be in the Final Four?
Well, we'll just, I guess we'll put them in sort of an order. For sure, John Hunter Nemechek. I'm going to go with Justin Allgaier, Cole Custer, and then bit of a surprise, Sam Mayer.
I'm going to say which ones aren't going to make it.
Sammy Smith, Sheldon Creed, Chandler Smith, and Austin Hill.
Yeah, so both Smiths, they're good, but they just haven't been able to knock off wins and been up at the front to contend for wins, so they're out. Sheldon Creed, if he gets up to the top, to the lead or something always happens. He has the worst, absolute worst luck. He's got the Kyle Larson luck. Don't think he's going to make it. I think he'll try, but I don't think he's going to make it through. I honestly don't think Sam Mayer's going to make it through. He had luck on the and he's a really good road course racer. We're not going to have that with these. The cars, I think, are going to make it. They've been fast on every single type of track, especially the 1.5 mile tracks. John Hunter, obviously, he's going to win the championship. That's my pick. I'm just going to throw that out
unless
there.
he has some kind of a problem. I don't see anybody.
That thing, that car is just. He got 7 wins of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Austin Hill, fast on the 1.5 miles. Justin Allgaier, he's fast pretty much anywhere. And I'm going Cole Custer as well, fast anywhere. So there's my Xfinity 4. The only difference we have is Sam Mayer and Austin Hill.
Yeah, I wanted to throw a sort of a dark horse in there on that one.
Interesting.
I don't know if you mentioned it earlier or not, but Sheldon Creed is out of his ride for next year.
That's not really surprising. I think he and Childress, from what I've kind of understood, they had a little bit of their differences on how he should approach certain races and things. And I'm sure a lot of behind the scenes stuff happened too. He's a decent driver. He should.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the final 8. I mean, that's
I mean, you would think
a lot of good drivers that are not.
Yeah, and then Allmendinger obviously moving back down to Xfinity for next year too, so that's going to make the Xfinity Series really competitive.
Yeah, he's the only driver in the final 8 who has not won a race.
Yeah, no, he's just again, it's his luck. He's never won a race. Going for the Cup Series, and my entire original Final Four, I had Joey Logano and Kyle Busch in it. Well, they're out, so 2 of mine are still in it. But who are you looking at to advance to the championship race in Phoenix?
Well, I think you got to look at William Byron. I think he's been probably the best car, especially since the regular season end for sure. William Byron, Denny Hamlin, not a fan, but I do think he makes it to the Final Four. I do think Kyle Larson makes it to the Final Four. And then the last one, I want to say Martin Truex. I don't see him making it. I actually see Chris Buescher sneaking in over Martin Truex.
I see Gibbs versus Hendrick. 2 of my picks were Hamlin and Larson. I'm sticking with them to advance. William Byron, I'm sticking with him to advance. He's just been so fast this year. on all these tracks. These next 3 tracks are very favorable to him. He could win on any one of them. Larson can win on any one of them. Hamlin can win on any one of them, and they might all be competing for the win this weekend. And I do think Truex is going to. I think he's going to get a win here, Las Vegas or at Homestead, with those Gibbs as fast as they have been on the mile and a half. Those are his best tracks. He's also very good at Martinsville, so you can't count him out either. At Martinsville. So, yeah, the 4 that are technically in it right now, they're the top 4 in the standings. I've got all 4 of those guys moving on.
Yeah, so my 4 that are out are Truex, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and Ryan Blaney.
Yep, I've got Blaney out. I'd love to see Blaney be able to make it. I don't think he will, but that'd be a big fan favorite to make it. Blaney and Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, and who else did I have out? Who am I missing?
Tyler Reddick.
Tyler Reddick, yeah. And he could win one of these tracks too. So
yeah.
It's going to be interesting because all those Toyotas are so fast on these mile and a halves. Now getting into our actual race picks for the Xfinity race. Let's do that one first on Saturday afternoon. It's a 302-mile race, so it's an extra lap. I don't know why exactly. I don't know what the 302 is. I don't know if that's like a Las Vegas area code to make it look fancy. But it's really
I didn't see who it's sponsored by. Maybe it's something with the casino. It's hard to say.
It's only 98 miles less than the Cup race, so it's a pretty long Xfinity race. So definitely it can be some attrition in this one.
That's for sure, especially for the drivers who are not used to, and like you said, an extra 100 miles. Not so much the physicalness of the drivers, but maybe saving a little bit of equipment
and having some mental errors towards the end. Yep.
Yeah, you would think like it would fit right in for like Justin Allgaier, seasoned veterans, been there doing it the whole time. I just don't see anybody beating John Hunter Nemechek on these mile and a halves.
I'm actually going with the guy you mentioned. I think the mental focus, he has it over everybody. He has the experience. I am going with Justin Allgaier in this one. It's either him or John Hunter, honestly, I think, with winning this. But I think Justin can find his way to get into the Final Four. And just seeing him as many times as he's battled to try to get a championship, and he's just very humble driver. I'd love to see him just get a championship.
Oh, that would be hugely popular in all of NASCAR, I think.
And not just because he raced for Junior, just in general. He just seems like the garage, and everybody seemed to like him.
I was going to say that I think the competitors and teams and everything would be generally very happy. Yeah. Like when Dale finally won the Daytona 500, I think that would be a very, very popular garage-wide celebration.
And moving on to Sunday, the I think South Point Casino 400 or whatever Casino 400. I think that's the right one, though.
Probably.
And we're talking about hot and slick. Who you got? I still think it's going to be Toyota versus Chevy for the mile and a halves.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm going to pick, he had Atlanta won, and then messed up. Kyle Larson. Wasn't it Atlanta?
No, Atlanta's the one where he got wrecked because it's the drafting one.
Oh, it wasn't Atlanta. The last one, Kansas.
Texas.
Kansas. Kentucky.
He wrecked. He had Texas won too, and he's had a bunch of these races won, and just something happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's quickly becoming that he's not very clutch, but let's go. I'm going to pick Larson.
I'm not sure if it's just
actually Kyle Busch.
Somebody outside the playoffs. Interesting. I don't think anybody outside the playoffs is going to win any of these races. You see it year out. It doesn't usually happen. And then when you get to the championship, it's like those 4 drivers are 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's like, are they really 1, 2, 3, 4, or just like is NASCAR making it? It's just, I don't know. It seems kind of weird. I'm going with a playoff driver, locking him into another championship for Denny Hamlin. Been so fast on these mile and a halves. I can't really pick against him. And you know who I'm not going to pick.
Yeah, so, I know you're not going to pick.
I put him in the Final Four, and that's as much as I'm going with it.
Yeah, I don't see him, I don't know. Hopefully he learned, like he was racing there with with Bubba for the lead, and Bubba did nothing wrong. He pinched him down. They never touched, but took the
Yeah.
air off of it.
Yeah, that's where
And hopefully
Larson
learned that, you know what, sometimes you might just have to back off,
that
give it
or
a
just
lap.
that or just dive in it a little bit harder and just try to clear them up.
Yeah.
And you might be able to do that a little easier on mile and a halfs like Las Vegas and Homestead, because Texas is just so wide. It's hard to really kind of, the way it's shaped, it's hard to really do that, especially turns 1 and 2. Moving on to drag racing, they are heading out to Texas after now they're kind of their normal every other week. They're going back to it, so I think that's good for the drag cars. And this is the first race that in the motorcycle that Angie Smith's going to miss. Obviously, she has a significant injury, but she seems to be in good spirits, and she's recovering well, and she'll be back at it next year. But other than that, that's the big storyline going into it. You got Tasca, who's been hot. You got Coletta, who's been hot. Matt Hagan's starting to come on, so it's starting to get real with his last couple races in drag racing.
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't remember if there's 1 or 2 left after this one, but we're getting right
2
down
more
at the end. And I think this might be the last race at the Houston Raceway Park, or whatever they call it now down there. I think that's closing after this year, which is a shame, because that's actually a pretty nice facility, and it's always a fast track. But just to touch on it, like when we were at the drag at Charlotte, it's remarkable how NHRA calls them their safety safari. They prep the track. They do such a good job on all these tracks anymore, getting enough rubber laid down. You just don't see tracks have a huge advantage from one lane to another. Like just a few years ago, you would see one lane, they would only win in that lane unless something really, really happened. Now it seems like the cars will go down both lanes, most of the time.
Yeah.
So hats off to the track prep. That's one thing that makes it nice, and you just never know who might win. You can easily take a 16 qualifier and come out on top. That's just happened, a couple times this year already. So it definitely makes it interesting.
Well, the point standings there, besides the motorcycle, they're all generally pretty close. And Coletta actually extended his point lead. I think that's the biggest, besides motorcycle, the biggest point lead going into this round. When you knock off a few wins and then you get a few round wins after that, you're going to build your points lead. So, I guess going into Houston, let's look at it and let's make our picks. So who we got taking advantage of this and trying to close in on championship.
Yeah, one thing. Doug Coletta win the championship would be also very popular.
Yes.
He's been close. He had it all in the bag, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago.
He's never won it?
No, he's never won it. For Tony Schumacher to beat him, he not only had to win the race, but he had to set a new national speed record at the time to get the extra bonus point. And son of a bitch, if he did not do it that last round and beat Coletta by like 1 point. It was crazy.
Was that one of Schumacher's 8 in a row or something?
Yeah,
crazy
back
that he
driving
had
the Army car. So
that was an unstoppable team for a while. Yeah, so looking at the standings right now, Coletta is over Leah over a 47-point lead. The funny car one is Bob Tasca and Robert Height and Matt Hagan are all right there, and even Ron Capps is still within 33 points. So 1 through 4, 33-point difference.
Yeah, two rounds.
Yeah, that's so how many points do you get per each round? Each round
20.
you advance? Okay. And Pro Stock, again, the first 3, Erica, Greg Anderson, Matt Hartford, 38 points is the maximum there. So it's insane. And motorcycles, 100 points. So he could take off this weekend and still have the lead potentially. Do you get bonus points, I guess, for winning besides just winning the round?
No, I don't think so.
It's just 20 regardless.
I think there's some extra bonus points you get for qualifying. I think you get some for having the fastest speed of the weekend, fastest speed of that round, or something like that. You get them for setting new. I don't remember if it's track record or national record ETs or speed, so you get an extra point or two or whatever they have for that.
So they have a link that says how points are earned on the NHRA's website. That's a lot of reading.
Yeah, like the U.S. Nationals was 1.5 points, and I don't think any other track does that. I think only for U.S. Nationals.
Well, let's start off pro stock motorcycles. Who you got? Gonna take a guess. You got?
I'd love to see Gianni pull one out. I mean, she beat this guy before. He obviously had some kind of problem, but hey, a win's a win. But I'm going to pick Gage Herrera.
Yeah, I think Gianna said she likes this track a lot. She said it's a hot and slicker track. She likes that, plays into her advantages. Her favorite is Sonoma when she was on here talking about Sonoma. I am actually going to go with an upset pick. I'm going to actually pick the guy that Gage is racing against for the championship. I'm going with Matt Smith. I think it could be a big time emotional victory for him, that entire crew. Obviously, with everything going on with Angie, I think this could be a big emotional win for that team.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call that an upset.
Well, I mean, when Gage wins,
multiple champion, so he's.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I guess considering the way this year's gone, it's an upset to me.
But if the track is hot and slick, that's one thing that could, make the field a little closer between Gage and everybody else, to where it might just slow his down just enough that it might not affect the other riders so much. So,
yep.
Yeah, I'd love to see a good tight race. That would be,
Yeah, because all the other series it's tight. I mean, it comes down to the last race. So I'd like somebody not to be crowned before the season finale.
Yeah.
Pro stocks. Like I said, Erica's got a slim point lead right now over Greg Anderson and Matt Hartford. Greg Anderson, a big time win in was it St. Louis or Charlotte? Which one he won? One of the two. Charlotte.
St. Louis, I believe.
St. Louis. Yeah.
Or was it Maple Grove?
No, he won just recently. One of those two. But big wins to close in the championship gap after he's been through, obviously, a lot off the track. So looking at pro stocks, who are you looking at to get a win in Houston?
Well, Houston's home track for one pro stock driver. So, so I think that's going to be, if it is the last race, she's going to be going all out to win the last race at her home track. Erica Enders is going to extend her point lead a little bit.
I like that pick. It's hard to go against it, but I'm going with one of the championship contenders. Once again, I'm going with Matt Hartford for this race.
It's funny, the whole year, like Dallas Glenn was one of the guys that was, on fire, and now he's kind of.
He slowed off a little bit, and then Erica got caught fire because Erica in the beginning, she was struggling in the beginning. So, yeah, that's it's crazy, though. There are 16 different pro stock drivers that have won a race this year.
That's insane.
Yeah, and obviously
usually there's about 3 or 4.
There's only 10 that make the cutoff, so that's absolutely insane. Yeah, well, we saw it down there. It seems like 90% of them are the Quadras, or is it that team or whatever team that is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they have like 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah, it's insane. It was like a whole dang alley. They had all of those. Funny car. This is where it's the closest out of all of the series right now. It's really getting good.
So this guy needs to make up a little bit of points. He's defending. He won it last year, defending series champion. Gotta go with Ron Cabs. I think he's gonna squeak one out here and make this a really, really tight race. I can see it coming down to either Caps and Robert Hyde or Tasca and
Matt Hagan.
Yeah, I could see the 2 of those cars being in the final round with each other and just making it a fist fight.
I'm going with. I think he's the hottest driver right now in funny car overall. I've got to go with Bob Tasca for this one.
Yeah, he's definitely been fast lately.
And Top Fuel. Again, it's a little bit more of a gap with Top Fuel because I mean Coletta knocked off a few wins in a row, a couple races back, so that was huge getting that, but it's far from over. So
Yeah,
Top Fuel
surprisingly, Leah has been
Mm-hmm.
really running well. I mean, good for that team.
Yep.
Her winning the championship would be huge.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
she's
Tony would go crazy for that
well,
one.
she's a fan favorite, regardless of being on Tony's team now, and Tony's wife, and but now you just add that to
Yeah.
that would just exponentially increase the excitement from everyone. So, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, who are you looking at?
Well, my pick, this guy was pretty much the fastest car in the regular season. He fell off a little bit these last few weeks. I look for him to gain it back. I got Justin Ashley.
Well, we were just talking about her, and I picked her a few times this year. She hasn't come through in any of my picks yet, but hopefully it will work out this weekend. Leah Pruitt.
It's very possible.
And that does it for that. And as we transition over to the World of Outlaws, while I pull up the standings because I clearly was not prepared to have the standings, I just had it up. Going to 81 Speedway, they were here earlier this year. Non-outlaw guy Rico Abreu got the win here. So just briefly go over what 81 Speedway is all about and what we can look forward to that race on Friday night. It's Friday the 13th, by the way. So May.
Oh yeah, anything can happen. Maybe it's a full moon. Yeah, it's in Park City, Kansas. It was. I don't remember if that was the first World of Outlaw race they've ever had there, or if it's been many years. But I know just rewatching the highlights of that race. It's a normal deal, 3/8 mile, but it looked like super nice surface. It wasn't real dusty. There was passing throughout the field on that one, and I know the crowd was huge, so I expect to see, as long as weather holds out, I expect to see another big crowd again, and good for them for either coming to a new speedway or bringing back what they used to run. I can't remember what they said it was new or
Yeah.
but kind of like NASCAR coming, finally listening to the fans and coming to some places where they want to see. They've been packing the place. There's a lot of tracks where they're not drawing crowds, and we don't want to race in front of nobody for sure.
Yeah, there are. Before we get to the World Finals, which is that's everything, including 81, you've got 4 races, and then it comes down to Charlotte. And right now, Brad Sweet holds it. The lead has been cut down just a little bit, but you do a little bit each race. It makes it interesting going into Charlotte. Yeah. It's a lot closer than what it was when they were going into Charlotte these last few years. This is the closest it's probably been. I think Carson Macedo's pretty much out of it now. He's over 100 points out. You're not going to make up over 100 points on Brad Sweet unless something catastrophic in each race happens then. Yeah. David Gravel's only 68 points back now. That's doable.
Yeah. Brad Sweet really rarely seems to have any major catastrophe, like a crash that keeps him out. A flat tire here and there is highly possible.
Yeah.
Or something where you have to change a wing or a front axle real quick, but you usually back out there. For him to not finish a race is really unlikely.
His luck is exact opposite of his brother-in-law's. Yeah, so going into 81 Speedway, I kind of looked at it when they were just there in the spring. I'd imagine it's definitely a different track condition. It's in Kansas, so it's going to be a completely different season than they were in the spring.
Yeah,
but it is October. It's going to be a little. I would expect to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it could be cool. It may be a little less on the slick side, so that actually could hurt passing a little bit. So it may be more of a run the cushion type track. But small track, you still have to deal with lap cars, and that's huge. Getting through the lap cars. Sometimes second place is where you want to be. You just be able to pick the lap cars apart and catch the leader just hung up just a little bit.
All right, well, it's that time. Let's go with our pick for 81 Speedway on Friday night, and then we'll go into Saturday.
Well, you were talking about him. He's third in points. I believe he ran second there in the spring, so I got Carson Macedo on this one, especially if it's going to be a track where you're going to run the cushion. He runs cushion better and as good as anyone for sure.
I'm going to go a little bit out of left field. He had a very good run. I believe it was 6th place here in the spring. I'm going hot sauce Giovanni Scelzi for this one.
I got one a little in the left field for the next race. So it's
well, Lakeside, I think you were touching on it before we hopped on and everything. This is where High Limit raced earlier this year. I don't know if any Outlaw guys raced in the High Limit race there. I don't know.
So.
But I'm sure they watch it, they see what they can do and kind of how the track changed that day for those guys.
Yeah, for sure. Those guys aren't the best dirt racers in the world. I'm going to guess Rico's probably going to run both of these races, so he obviously was there. I don't think you'll see Larson running any more sprint cars with the end of the Cup Series. But my pick won this race last year. Like I said, it's a little unconventional. He runs a Toyota. Those things have been fast as long as they don't blow up. I got James McFadden.
I don't think that's too much out of the left field. Those Toyotas are they've come on strong the second half of the year. They've been very impressive. He and Buddy have definitely had really good races with those, and I think they will have a really strong run next year if they can stay more consistent at the beginning of the year, because they'd be right there mixing it up too for the championship. I've got to go with the championship front runner though. People might start getting excited if David Gravel starts reeling it in, but then Brad Sweet's like, "Oh, you think he's reeling it in?" And I think he's going to knock off a win. I think he's going to knock off at least 1 or 2 more wins for the rest of the year, and it's also going to frustrate the hell out of David Gravel because David Gravel's probably going to be either 1 spot ahead or 1 spot behind. He just can't seem to get away.
They can't seem to get away from each other.
No. And that was that little bit of run we talked about in the summertime when David Gravel had that slide in the summer. Yeah. That was pretty much all she wrote, and that might be the tell of the championship.
Yes, I think beginning of the year we were both saying that Gravel was probably the favorite to win the championship this year. Then
I definitely said that, but
I'm sure Brad Sweet watches our podcast, so he's like, okay,
100%. Guys. There's no question, definitely. Yeah. He clearly is one of the subscribers. And we're getting closer to the World Finals. It has it listed as 4 days, but I don't think the World Final. I don't think they race on the Thursday.
Sprint cars don't run all 4. I don't think
they race Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. I believe it doesn't say it actually on here. It just says World Finals. I'm like, yeah, I know that, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Wednesday, Friday, Saturday last year. And once it gets closer, I mean, you would think I'd have the hookup to figure that one out. And likely I'll be somewhere around there sneaking around, and we'll see what happens there. But that does it for this one. Dad, we're getting close to the end of this end of the year, and possibly looking at trying a pretty cool season finale once all of the racing's said and done, because I want to do one more episode after all the racing's done, which I think it's like the week after the World Finals, because I think that's the same as the NASCAR Championship. So possibly. So we'll look at that. But yeah, that does it for this. If you guys liked it, got any questions, obviously comment down below. We'll be more happy to answer. Like, subscribe, hit that little bell to notify you. All podcast platforms, follow all social media. So till next week, Dad, we'll see you then.
All right, bye everybody.